That's a collector on the corner.
And Wobbly Deb.
Yep. Anyway, I got there last night. If I can get it open.
You sealed it good.
I drained the antifreeze out of it. Pretty
Yeah.
green antifreeze, and the radiator's full, so we know that water didn't get in that oil pan past the seals at the bottom of the sleeves.
Uh-huh.
And then I got here this morning, got the head off,
Uh-huh.
and I pulled this little dust cover off, and what I found in here, I'll get it out, I can see it. I don't know if I can get it out. There's a mud wasp nest.
Ew.
And there is a little bird or a mouse nest. It looks like a little bird, maybe like a wren.
Yes.
And another mud wasp nest. I've got the oil pan ready to come off.
Uh-huh.
And over the years, I've learned a little bit of stuff, and I want to pass it on. I'm a big fan of just pulling that oil pan on, mopping it out, and cleaning it.
Uh-huh.
But every once in a while, you'll get a hold of something that's got an exhaust pipe across there and stuff in the way, and you'd have to jack a motor beat. It'd be, you know, a big job to pull that pan. And you suspect that there's still sludge in that pan. Well, that plug's out. That has dripped all night. And what you can do to check to see if that's clean or not, get you one of these little cheap torches. And start heating on that pan.
Uh-huh.
I don't know if this one's got any left in it or not. But back in the day, the oil wasn't that good. A lot of times when engines started using oil, people would add a thicker oil and some motor honey.
Uh-huh.
There it goes. There's stuff starting to drip out of it right now.
Well, you can see it. I don't. Oh, I see just not very much.
Nope. Well, I said I didn't know how much was in it.
Just a spit in a can. In the spittoon.
You get it hot. And what it does, that sludge starts turning back into oil.
Yeah.
If you got real thick sludge, it'll come out, and sometimes you'll get a considerable amount out of that. But anyway, I think that drained pretty clean.
Yes, I think
But it had water in the bottom, so the sludge floated up. And maybe the sludge wasn't held too bad. I've got 2 bolts holding the oil pan on.
I can see one.
Find my little socket. I'll go to the other side and get that, and you can just stay right there.
I will. I don't
I think that's every one of them off. I don't see no more holding it besides that one on your side.
Okay.
I've got a little can right here at Debbie's feet that she's fixing to kick over.
I will.
I had all my bolts in it.
Thank you. It's always hard to walk around you. You're usually Mr. Junk.
See, there was still sludge left in that pan because
Yeah,
it's
but-
bent.
Yeah.
See, it couldn't run out. There's
It's
some up there.
not enough to.
No, it ain't as dirty as some.
Yeah, I've seen some that.
But there's the oil pump pickup.
Uh-huh.
I'm going to go ahead and take that oil pump off right now. You people gonna get to see me do some work on camera. I usually don't show my work.
Why? Is it,
Well,
you got a goofy way you do it?
no, if they wanted to see somebody tear one down step by step,
Yeah.
there's plenty of that on the internet.
Yeah,
You
I
know.
know.
Hour-long videos, 2-hour-long videos.
Mm-hmm.
And most of it ain't rocket science. It's just these tractors are real simple.
So that's why a simple person can work on it?
Yeah, well, anybody ought to be able to fix these.
Even Randy.
Even me. Even Randy. One reason I know I was going to take this oil pump off, one reason I brought that little ice cream pan out here.
Oh boy.
This would be faster with a ratchet.
But why don't you have one?
But we know that probably the relief valve in that oil pump is rusted because that water got raised up there.
Yeah.
And the crankshaft in this thing is laying flat. Instead of 2 pistons up or 2 pistons down, it's about even all the way across. All of them down about the same distance in the bore.
Well, good, I guess.
Flat. It's horizontal rather than vertical.
All
And
right.
that's good in a way because that allows me to get to all the rod caps. Pretty easy.
Wow, that was easy. Ooh, it's sludgy.
Yeah, sludgy. It's not locked up.
Yay!
Apparently the water didn't get that high.
Well, good.
Nope. Crankshaft's not rusty. Okay,
Well, good.
go around here. Oh, you gonna get in there and show them what it looks like under there?
Well, I'm going to try it,
And
if I can.
crawl under there, little fat girl. Lay on your back.
There-
Come there and show them.
There would be one of those, help, I've fallen and I can't get up.
There's that stuck valve.
Wow.
There's another stuck valve right there. It's kind of went back up. That's intake, that's exhaust. There's them 2 plugs that don't want to come out. But you know, don't look like they're oil fouled. And I don't know.
And they're super
Somebody
rusty.
suggested maybe the water got in there through that, around them plugs that are wrong plugs. Them are tapered seat plug, like for a Ford car. That somebody stuck in there a 13/16 rather than a 7/8 socket fits them.
Oh, so that
They're
could-
stuck in there.
so that
What I'll
could
have to
be-
do to get them out
Yeah, what will you do?
and break the porcelain out, break the center out of that, and run a bolt down in there, and then take my wire welder and reach down there and weld that to a big long bolt and screw that bolt out.
Oh, okay.
That's the plan to get them apart. I think those cylinder heads still be usable. Now, there's the big reveal.
Oh gosh, the big reveal. Dun dun dun
Covered that
dun.
up last night.
Oh, jeepers! It's pretty
Yep.
It's
It's not
gnarly.
very promising, is it?
Pretty gnarly.
There's-
Yeah, I see there's water.
Yep. And I imagine maybe this engine was wore and loose enough that when the water first got in there, it could easily run down past the rings into the pan. But I don't see how it'd get in around that spark plug with the hood on it. Unless somebody let it sit out for a long time without a hood on it.
Yeah,
They could have.
I don't know.
We don't know what the history of this thing is.
No. No.
That should leave right there is never going to get it.
Yeah.
You might clean these others. I don't know. They don't look promising.
Yeah.
None of them look, say, oh boy, that's good for sure. You ain't going to know. So what I'm going to do I ain't gonna be able to get them pistons out to pull them sleeves. They're not gonna move. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna get underneath here and put some blocks up. And we'll reach in and put a chain around here and a chain around right here in the front somewhere. Across these front two cylinders. And I'm gonna get on them center two first. Take the rod caps off. I'm gonna take my porta power and get underneath there and run up there, and I've got a long slender deal that'll fit on my porta power to catch the piston pin right next to the rod. And I'm gonna pump him up, and I'm gonna push the piston, rod, sleeve, and all out.
Wow.
I'm gonna take the whole thing out. Then I can take these sleeves over into my press and press the pistons down lower. Clean up the bottom of the sleeves and press all the pistons out. That's the way I'm gonna get that disassembled. I'm not gonna get it disassembled any other way. I ain't gonna spend a lot of time, you know, waste a lot of time and everything trying to clean them bores up and get them pistons out to get them freed up. It's just not gonna happen. It's set too long, got too much rust. And the thing about it is, I think these are cast pistons. They're metal pistons, but they're aluminum. If it's alloy pistons, you can put chemicals down there and it'll work different. Iodine will work. If you got alloy piston, it works and reacts with that aluminum or magnesium, and it'll free them up sometimes. Okay, we're gonna go up here. We're going up here to the canopy, honey. That's push rods out of that engine. I put them on a piece of cardboard like this.
And number
1, 2, 3, and 4. See? That way I can put them back where they came from. And there's the rusty rock arms.
Wow.
And I had my calipers out here this morning.
Ooh, caliper.
And I was doing some measuring.
Ooh, measuring.
And that is got the 3 1/4 inch board. What I've got, I'll just start out with this. Somebody's talking about lapping the valves.
Yeah.
I got plenty of that valve grinding compound. Seems like I always get an auction. One of these little suction cup deals you do like this. Got one of them crank handle deals like them guys with the strong motors from the Cold War motors guys, them Canadian guys. They're using this, so oscillates back and forth as you crank it. And I've got a whole plethora of valve spring compressors, all different types, and I've got some big C-clamp type I can use. But I don't know how many pistons and liners that I got for farmos. And all that holds that down in there is a rubber seal in the block. There's a groove in the block, that's seal. See what?
Yeah, but you got to remember them rubbers may be old.
Well, I know them rubbers are old. But what I always do, I put silicone on there when I put that back in there. And that silicone, this rubber wipes it off below the rubber. And it'll get right around this edge. And that'll hold better than that rubber did by itself.
Really?
But back when they made this tractors, that silicone didn't exist. And used right, it's good stuff.
Oh.
And I don't know, there's 3, 6, there's 9 sleeves there. And I've got a couple more of these milk crates with the sleeves in them in the building there. And what it was, Daddy had a bee farm all that he junked that the block was busted. I saved all the pistons and the crank and the cam and all that stuff out of it. And I had a Super C that had one bad cylinder, and I saved them 3 sleeves and pistons and the crank and all the good parts off it. I was at an auction one day, and there was a power unit, same size as the Super C engine, yellow. Had a little clutch housing on it, and I'm looking at the block is froze and busted bad. And they fired up. They put glue, solder, and JB weld and whatever on that block, and they got it where it halfway holds water, just dripping. They fired up, sounds good. But when I was there looking at it, there was an old guy. He's probably still older than I. He's probably 75 at that time. He was looking at it, me and him was talking. We heard it right, and I said, well, at least we know the pistons and sleeves and the goodies on the inside are still good, you know. He was real interested in it. He said, yeah, he said, I can take all them goodies out of that and put it in my block and build me a motor. So I didn't even begin him. I let him buy it. And 3 or 4 years later, I'm paying my light bill. And I'm over there. He's there at the light place, and he got the hood up on his truck, on his car. This is his car he was driving. His wife was in there with him, cold day. And I go pay my light bill, come up, and I said, you need some help? He said, yeah, my car won't start. He said, I bought a brand new battery down at that parts store and had them put in here. He said, just because wintertime was coming, the battery was in here. It was several years old, I just traded it in. And he said, now every once in a while it don't want to start. So I'm looking there and I pull the caps off top of his battery. His cables is clean and everything. Have him try to start it, and one of the cells is bubbling. Got a bad cell in that battery. And he said, I took that battery back to the parts store and I put it on the charger overnight and give it to me the next day and say there's nothing wrong with it, there's something wrong with my car. And I said, well, I ain't got no jumper cables with me, but I know where I can go get some. So I went over to the Walmart Automotive Center and told them I need to borrow a set of jumper cables, and they knew me. And they loaned me a set of jumper cables they had back there, and I went back over and boosted him off. I told him, I said, go to Walmart and buy you a battery. I said, if you got a battery from Walmart and you say it's bad and you take it back up there, they don't even ask you no questions. They just give you another one. They don't test it and do a bunch of rigmarole. And I said, you can buy them cheaper there anyway. They're all made by the same bunch of people. They ain't none of them any better, superior quality. So I followed him over to Walmart and made sure he made it. He got out and he come over and he said, when you get the chance, come by my house. So I was out that way and I stopped. And he come out. He said, follow me out the shed. And he had tore down his motor, and he had tore down that motor with a busted block, and all that stuff was sitting there covered up. He said, back your pickup up here and load all this up. I'm going to give it to you. I'm never going to do nothing with it. So he give it to you. So you never know when you help somebody if it's going to come back, and reward you. I tried to pay him something for it, but he wouldn't take no money. He said, no, 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 no. Anyway, so I got all them sleeves and pistons and parts out of that. So I got plenty of used parts that we can put in that motor or a bunch of other motors. And that's one of these things, about being a hoarder and saving everything. You never know when you're going to use something. You might never use it the rest of your life. But, you never know when you might have a use for some of this stuff. But any road, now I got 2 C-farm walls to assemble, which Chris is going to assemble that. And being that's a customer one, I'm going to put it back together. Anyway, and Miss Debbie's done made me a cup of coffee and give me a couple of cookies this morning. So that's been my breakfast.
Breakfast of champions.
Yeah. Cookie and coffee?
Mm-hmm.
I guess. I usually have Usually we said, what do you want for breakfast? I'll say eggs and something else. So it'll be eggs and fried potatoes or eggs and bacon or eggs and ham or something.
Eggs and cookies.
But this morning it was coffee and cookies.
Well, you were in a hurry.
Yeah, I know, and I didn't hang around in the house and pester you a whole lot. But anyway, I keep all my machine shop tools in this box here. And I got all kinds of mics and calipers.
Boy, not very much for, how old are you? 60 years. Because I know you've been collecting them since you was a baby.
Them right there.
Your T done some of this stuff.
My buddy Jim give them to me.
I know, Mr. Jim.
Yep. I needed them to set the injectors on Caterpillar.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to borrow them.
Mm-hmm.
So I borrowed them off of him, and he wanted to come over and see what I was doing, and he watched me use them, and he approved that I knew how to read a mic.
Mm-hmm.
And when I got all done, I went to hand them back to him. He said, no, you keep them. If I ever need them, I'll just get you to come. He said, I'm going to give them to you. He said, brother, you have them than me. And the reason he had them, and this is a true story, they had this factory come in down there at the College City. And Jim hired on down there, and I asked him if he ever worked in a factory before. Well, I'm going to tell a story. I worked in a factory before. And he said, yeah, he said, I worked in a broom handle factory at Monticello, Arkansas. And they said, good, you got experience, we'll make you a machinist. So they took him over there and they gave him a real quick course of how to read a mic and stuff like that, and how to run an overhead mill. And this guy's like me, but he had only had one eye. He lost it as a child. But anyway, he's a hard-working boy and everything. And he'd mess up every once in a while, and that was real expensive metal. So they would take that metal and they would weld it back up and remachine it if he messed it up. And it was for them swing wing jets that they land on a aircraft carrier and fold the wings up and they put them down below. And some of them wings fell off, and they traced them parts back to that factory in College City. And I always like to tease him and tell him, yeah, it was you machined them down too far. He said, no, that wasn't me. He said there was another guy over there, and he said instead of having a mic, he had a seat clamp. And he put that seat clamp on there and tightened it down and measured it with a ruler. He was the one that made them bad parts. I don't know who made the bad parts, but anyway, I used to always like to tease him about. But they was some of them people went to jail over that. I mean, they did prison time over that.
Yeah.
Got one other little outfit I'm gonna show you.
Oh, it's an outfit?
Yeah.
Let me see you put it on.
This right here.
Well, I know where that goes. Hand it to me. No. Oh.
That's a tack.
Oh.
It's got a rubber deal on the end.
Mm-hmm.
You can take and stick that on the end of a PTO.
Oh, I know where it goes.
Or a sawmill mandrel.
I know where it goes.
Yeah, I know. A sawmill mandrel or whatever.
And see how fast it's going?
And it will tell how many RPM it's turning.
Oh, yours would be 0.
And what I got that for, I went and bought that.
Uh-huh.
And the reason I bought that is because I wanted that mandrel.
Well, how much did that cost years ago?
What?
How much did that cost years ago?
Too much.
What'd you buy me?
I don't know.
Yeah, stop and think.
Anyway, the reason I bought that.
There is no reason. I'm worth more.
I wanted that saw. I had a sawmill that wasn't sawing right, and I wanted that saw to be turning 555 RPM because that's what it was hammered for. And I had to adjust the size of my pulley to get that saw mandrel going at 550 RPM. And that's why I bought that. And I don't know how many years ago it was, 40 years ago, I don't know. Hard to say. But
Yep.
anyway,
Hard to say.
you don't have to have all these specialized tools to not close. You don't have to have all these specialized tools to work on these old tractors.
That's right.
You can use a plastic gauge.
All you need is hands.
You can use a plastic gauge, and if you need a piston or something mic'd, you can take it down to the parts store, and they got mics down there. They'll measure it for you. That's a service a lot of them do.
And that's very nice of them.
But anyway, that'll be Miss Charlotte's tractor video number 3. And one of the reasons I pulled that cover off under that clutch was I wanted to see if the flywheel was dry. Because if that flywheel was oily and wet, I'd just pull it up onto the concrete and pull the engine out because the rear seal be leaking. But the rear seal's not leaking. So all I'll do with them main bearings is pull the caps down and look at them, plastic gauge them, put them back up. Put a piece of plastic gauge in, put it back up, measure the width of the plastic gauge, and if they're within specs, just leave it alone. Them original farm bearings. But that engine's been down before because one of the studs, the nut on it was run way down. The stud was barely screwed in the block. When I went to take the nut off, it come right on out.
Oh, okay.
Well, I guess that'll be all for this one. And we'll say goodbye and good luck to you, and let Debbie get this one posted. And I'll see if I can't get them sleeves to moving out of the block. And I'll take a video of pushing sleeve, piston, and rod all out where y'all can see that.
Okay, well, thank y'all, and you please like and subscribe and comment below. Bye!